Was sleep deprived, whoops, and all of a sudden it clicked like, oh, I pushed the wrong button. Hello everyone. So today I'm going to talk about buttons in a hospital room and how, whoops, I pushed the wrong button. And what happened? So let's start at the beginning of the evening. Raylan was having some issues keeping her oxygen up. We still don't quite know why, but I think it had to do with she was a little bit like the air is dry in a hospital and she's stuck flat on her back. You can try to get on your side, but you just can't get on your side as much as you normally can after the surgery she had. She had this A-frame cast on and, like your legs are like this. You can only turn on your side so much. So flat on her back, dry air. It was just hard on her to keep the secretions out of her throat and it seemed like they were thicker than normal. So the pulse ox she was using there was not one I'm used to using. It's really fancy, cool looking. I showed you guys that. But the way you would make it be quiet if it was going off was you would hit this bell that would turn red. You would hit the red bell and it would silence the alarm, I think for 2 minutes. And you would have 2 minutes to, try to help the person without it continually beeping. Because one, the beeping's annoying, but two, if it continually beeps, someone will come in there. And especially this place was great, like for sure, someone was going to come in there if that thing was beeping for 2 minutes straight. So if I didn't need someone to come in there, I would try as soon as it was, safe to get over to that spot and push the red bell to silence it. Sometimes they still would come on the intercom and say, "Is everything okay in there?" And I could just say, "Yeah, it's her oxygen or heart rate, but we're taking care of it. It's fine. It's under control." So I'd been doing that. I did that in part because respiratory therapy, when they would come in, they would want to deep suction down her throat with stuff that really was too thick. Like they were using thick things because her mucus was thick, but it was scratching her throat. And if you scratch her throat over and over, you just get in this cycle. Scratch throat equals more mucus accumulating in it to ease it, equals suctioning, scratch throat, more mucus, suctioning, scratch throat. Like it's a bad cycle. So we try not to, it's called deep suction, where you go past the little, no, there's a name for it. I know I learned it, but I don't remember it. The hangy thing, go past that to suction, that's deep suction. Respiratory therapist and I were not in agreement over that. The easiest way to avoid confrontation was to avoid her even realizing that I was trying to deal with it in non-deep suction ways. So kept pushing that. Was sleep deprived then later on in the evening because, like I said, respiratory therapist wanted to deep suction. I was like, no. Finally, she was like,
"Well, there's nothing else I can do."
That's what she said. And I said, well, at home, we would do shaker vest and cough assist before we deep suction again. And if that didn't work, I said we would put her on oxygen. And you can also do humidified air because that's what they did at Children's Hospital. I said it nicer than I'm saying it to you, just FYI. But she's like,
"Well, I can do shaker vest and cough assist, but if that doesn't work, I'm gonna have to call the on-call doctor to do oxygen."
and I was like, okay. And that's why they're there. I said, okay, well, let's do shaker vest and cough assist. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. And so then I'm like, hey, when you call the on-call doctor, make sure they know this is stuff we have at home and we would be doing if we were at home. So those are key things. That means, hey, this isn't out of the norm. So she did that. On-call doctor was fine with it. We had her on some oxygen with a bubbler, which means the oxygen was humidified. Anyways, I was up for a while with the respiratory therapist, trying to keep the respiratory therapist out of the room when Raylan had trouble, and constantly pushing that red bell. Then I got back to sleep for a couple hours, 5 a.m., woke up, forget why, maybe Raylan's heart rate, maybe oxygen, push the red bell, she's okay, get her settled back in, and realize, I think she maybe is poopy. So I checked her diaper and it definitely was full of stool and it was a mess. It was pretty bad. So again, she's got this A-frame cast, hard to turn side to side, especially for a diaper with stool in it. You have to get a second person to help you. 5 a.m. I'm tired. I've been pushing the red bell all night. What was going through my head was, I need to get someone to help me change this diaper. I need to turn on the light because it's dark in this room. When I was saying those things to myself, I was picturing the light switch in my head. I know I was. And I was picturing push the call button. And somehow my tired brain put those things together and pushed the wrong button. There's 3 ways you can get help in the room. There's these cords. You've seen them in bathrooms and hospitals. And it says pull for help. That way if you fell on the floor, you could pull it. There's those cords. never pulled one of those before. There's actual call button that they always tell you about before they leave the room. And this, you push this for anything. You push this for, my kid needs some Tylenol. Honestly, like you would push this if you were the patient for, can I get some ice water? Like super little things and fairly important things. You're supposed to push that same button, which kind of stinks when it's fairly important and they're just like,
it could be not that important.
Like they don't always answer that as fast as they should, but that's what you push for everything, the call button. The call button is this little joystick bobber on this long cord that goes into another plate on the wall with a help button next to it, a red help button next to a bell. Okay, so those are all the ways you can get help. Now, back to my story. I was picturing a light switch, thinking I needed to turn on the light. Also, I pushed this red bell over and over all night long, and I knew I needed to get some help changing her diaper. Instead of pushing the call button, though, I look to my right. I see a red button that says help. Next to it is a bell. Remember, I've been pushing bells all night long. Next to the help button is the same little bell icon. At Children's, the help button is a red button on a remote. I pushed that red help button. You guys, there was no code blue button in that room. That's the closest thing that hospital has to code blue. I didn't realize when I pushed it, because even when you push the code blue button, it's not like, that doesn't happen when you push it. What happens is immediately someone runs in your room. So I pushed the red help button, like within 5 seconds, I think it was a tech or CNA person comes in and like,
what do you need?
And I was like, Raylan has before I could finish to say poopy diaper, they go,
what's that beeping over here?
And I was like, oh, maybe Raylan's roommate, she had a roommate. Maybe Raylan's roommate's needing something. I hadn't noticed the beeping. As soon as I finished that sentence, like 7 more people, probably at least, piled in that room and they're like,
what is it?
And I was like, I think Raylan's roommate's beeping, and they're like,
it's in the bathroom?
Apparently that pull for help button in the bathroom, maybe that like starts beeping after you push the help button anywhere in the room, and that's the beeping they heard. And I realized Raylan's roommate was not even able to get up to go to the bathroom. Something was beeping in the bathroom, and all of a sudden it clicked like, oh, I pushed the wrong button. I said, I was trying to push the call button and I think I accidentally pushed the help button. Sorry. And all these people are like,
okay, it's no big deal. It's all right.
It was 5 a.m. They woke up the roommate. I woke up the roommate. Everyone's awake. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I was thinking I need to turn the light on the wall and I need help. And I ended up pushing the help button on the wall instead of the call button and then turning the light on. They're like,
it's okay. No big deal. It's fine.
And there's probably more people in the hallway, like headed towards her room. They all leave, someone comes in and helps me change her diaper. But I will say their speed at getting in the room when you need the help, and that's for serious, like, something major happened, I need help now, help. They were really fast, like really fast. The next day we were out in the foyer lobby living area of the place, because this place really encouraged kids to be out of their room as much as possible. And we were at this place like 2 weeks, guys, and this is the only other time this happened. But somehow the help button got pushed in another room near us, and I saw from outside the room what it looked like. And again, to be honest, something beeped in the lobby, that they all recognize as a different beep from normal. There's always beeps going off. I don't even remember what the beep sounded like that they heard. I do know you have little lights on the outside of your door, and all hospital rooms have this. On the outside of the door, there's usually some little lights that when you push the call button, it lights up. And there's different lights so that sometimes like a different light can light up. And I believe a red flashing light was lit up on this, like the little lights thing. Instead of it just being like the white call button, it was a red flashing light. But it looked like 20 people were walking towards that room, running towards that room. One person gets in there, probably after about the 5th person had walked in there, they realized, hey, it's a false alarm, don't worry. I saw it from the outside. There was even someone pushing, I don't know if it was a crash cart, But they were pushing something with like all this stuff on it. It was probably their version of a crash cart, whatever that would be, you know, like an emergency cart towards the room. They didn't make it there because there was a false alarm and they turned around. I thought, that's what we did at 5 a.m. too. I wonder how many people didn't even get to our room, but were headed that way. It was just, yeah. So know where the buttons are in your room. Know which buttons you're supposed to push for what. If there ever is a true emergency, like, you know what, this is okay if 10 people run in this room right now, this is how much help I need quickly, don't push the call button. Look for the help button. Also, don't push the code blue button. Rankin had no code blue button, but at Children's, there is on the wall, there is a code blue button, which is blue. Under the code blue button, there's another button that I think is red, and I forget what it says. It's basically like send help immediately, but not code blue help. And probably it sends people just as quick, but not as many people as the code blue sends. So yeah, look at your hospital room because there's a call button, which could be on a remote. It could be on a wire with a joystick. It's something that the patient can reach from bed though. And then on the wall, there will be a more serious help button. And maybe there will be two choices. Maybe there will be a more serious help button and code blue button. Don't accidentally push the wrong button. But if you do, they're always just really thankful that it's not really serious. They were very polite to me. They were very polite in that other room, whatever happened and they accidentally got pushed. Yeah, exciting stuff. So that's the story. Push the wrong button.